Today is a good day to talk about Blackpool in England, and the biggest problem facing Blackpool, I'll say, is a generational thing, living in the past, and the lack of sunshine. Yes, I said it. And you're thinking, well, have you ever met someone who said, look, if I have to choose between going to Paris, Eiffel Tower, or going to Blackpool, Blackpool wins anytime. I've never heard someone say that. And for the simple reason, who wants to go to Blackpool? Okay, that might sound like, that you're dissing Blackpool. No. That question was rather valid. In the good old days, in the heydays of Blackpool, everyone wanted to go there because it was the place to be. It was a lot of fun, family oriented. And in the 30s and 40s, when, paid holidays were introduced, a lot of people in England were like, wow, am I going to get paid? And people started exploring, traveling a bit more. So they, you drive to around England and Wales, and you go to Scotland, and you go to Edinburgh. You think, oh, this is nice. England, I didn't even know this is. I've seen it on TV, but I didn't know it was this good. And then people had more disposable income, and they started to spend more, and that's it. And that is how it became popular. It had all the rides. It had all the fancy stuff. And did you know that the tower, is that the thing that looks like Eiffel Tower? There was only about 5 years difference between the time it was built. The Eiffel Tower was built first, and then, the one in Blackpool. So it attracted a lot of people, and people said, oh, this is really nice, I couldn't believe this is almost like Paris. The only thing missing is, the baguette, the cheese, and the wine. But anyway, I'll take a Guinness anytime. I know it's not the same thing, but the UK people loved it, and they loved it so much that in 1980. Something happened. They had all, when you go to the beach and they've got all the seats you can rent and you can just relax there and watch the waves crash onto the sand or to the pebbles or whatever it is. There were about 28,000 of these in 1981, and they were all rented out. It was so popular then. And because of that, the council was like, oh, we're making so much money during the summer. When we get a bit of sunlight in the UK, that's fine. But then the decline started after that. And the decline apparently was due to multiple reasons. First of all, you have, disposable income, people discovering, hey, instead of going only during the summer, what about these winter holidays? Instead of going skiing, I could go during winter and come back all nice and tanned, and then all my neighbors look at me. What happened to you? You're looking so well. You're not pale. What's wrong with you? Yeah, I just came back from the south of France, from Spain. Yes. People started to explore mainland Europe. And because of that, the decline of Blackpool started. And then they started to build alternative parks that were much better, like Alton Towers, Thorpe Park, or all these other places that people go to. So, entertainment-wise, you had competition. But Blackpool did not take the cue from that. And when you think about Euro Disney or Disneyland in Florida, they had a generational appeal, and that is Disney keeps making films and Magic Kingdoms, Mickey Mouse, and all these other characters. So every new generation is basically indoctrinated on the fact that Disney is cool and you need to take your children or your grandchildren. So the generation keeps living the magic. Blackpool doesn't have any of that appeal. What are you going to do? I'm going to see what? Oh, the fake Eiffel Tower? No, I go to the real one in Paris. You see the problem? Basically, Blackpool was stuck in time, and there isn't anything that the council could do about it. They decided to put, a casino somewhere there to make it to jazz things up, but that didn't really do much, because when you think about it, first of all, it creates addiction, and another problem is that, of course, it generates income. It brings in dirty money as well. Go and ask people from Las Vegas; they could tell you something, a few things about those. And another thing about having a casino is that, the Native Americans have in their reservations, they had the right to run their own casinos. And it brings in a lot of money, people doing dodgy deals. But the funny thing is that it doesn't always translate to the trickle-down effect of making the area richer. Some of the reservations still had a lot of problems with unemployment and other social issues linked to that. So Blackpool tried, but it just kept failing. And it was the sign basically was written on the wall, so to say, that there isn't much they could do about it. And now fast forward a few years later, and then the COVID and all these other things happened, and that the economy was already in decline, and that happened, and more businesses basically went out of business. Businesses just collapsed. Now think about that. You go to Blackpool, you have hotels boarded up, you have houses boarded up, and they're pumping money into it, but it's just like not working. And for the simple reason that people don't have money. I'm talking about I'm not talking about people from Manchester or London trying to go to Blackpool. They don't. Is that you come out of the M55, you go into Blackpool. Most people will go into the main road, the boulevard where all the rides are, and people say, well, stay in the north, don't go south, because it's just not a good place to be. And so what do you mean not a good place to be? It's not safe in some areas because lack of opportunities, lack of unemployment, lack of future. People are falling into addiction, and then addiction, social issues, and it's not great. So who is going to want to invest in a place where there are no opportunities and there's no future? And the funny thing is that not every part of Blackpool is run down. Some areas are really nice. Some people recently moved there and they thought, oh, we like it here. We enjoy it. Anytime we want to go to the seafront, we just drive there and just walk around. But some areas are so run down that it just doesn't feel safe. And now, recently, the new government said, hey, too many people on benefits. And then Blackpool look at itself, hey, about 65% of the population is on benefit, unemployed. You're like, wow, that's a big number. Oh, only about 140,000 people in Blackpool. And some people have said it's the most depressing town in the area. You go there, when you come off the M55, you drive through. I was like, we rode the tower, the Eiffel Tower thing. The rides were there, but after a certain age, it's no longer fun. It's not like when you're a teenager and you're young and you want to go on all the rides. Sometimes you just want to go there, walk around, probably go into a pub, have a meal, have a drink, and just walk around, and that's it, and then go back home. But if there's nothing else to do, which is like one of the biggest thing Blackpool had was just focusing on the tourism and not developing any other sort of business that would bring revenue, constant revenue, offices, or what else can you do? Convention centers or things like that. But if it's all dependent on tourism, and now all the hotels, most of the hotels are closing down. There's the Big Blue Hotel, which is nice. But you don't have enough people to keep things going, and during high season, summer, and when winter comes, everything is just dead, and that is not a good thing. You want to be able to continue keep activities going during those months, and that is where it becomes very difficult. So people are worried, and then if the government is trying to cut people from benefits, and now the question is, for a place like Blackpool where you have heavy dependence on government assistance, if they were to cut that, without giving the people the opportunity for jobs. And people will say, well, you can just move. It's not always easy to move. Because if you have a family, if you need to probably be able to work in something that's in high demand, that's well paid. So if you move to Manchester, which will be closer to Blackpool or these other cities, it's great. But then it means you need to find a job. You need to be well paid enough. If they're asking for a degree, you don't have that. It just diminishes your access to leading a better life. And it's not like, okay, just sell your house and move. The houses are cheaper in Blackpool, that even if you were to sell, what are you going to buy with it? You're not going to sell a house in Blackpool and move to London and buy a house. Not unless you want to live in zone 10, which doesn't exist. Basically, you're so far away from central London, it doesn't even matter. So this is the point. Blackpool is in such a state that the council has been trying so hard to fix it, but have been unable to do that. And it says as of February 2025, 24 million people in the UK claiming benefits, with Blackpool standing out as a hotspot. The funny thing is, when you read that, it's not even, people like to blame immigrants. Yeah, I knew it, all these immigrants claiming benefits. But when you look at the population of 142,000 people in Blackpool, the population is rather homogeneous, about 95%, English, Scottish people, and that's it. Every now and then you see a brown face or black face, but that's it. So it's got nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to do with immigration. It's just that lack of opportunity. It's just that simple. The government even investing. And another thing is this, that it's not always about investment. Sometimes you could invest, or you could probably the government could do something and move some civil servants' jobs there. So basically administration that doesn't require a lot of travel. You could build a big, MI 5.2 or whatever. I don't know. I don't think. But anyway, you get the idea. You could do that and create jobs. That's what the US military does sometimes. They build a massive military base in the middle of nowhere, and then it creates jobs. Then all the families move there. All the suppliers are there. You could do something similar for Blackpool. But yeah, it is not it's not that easy, because there are other parts of the UK with similar seaside issues, and they're struggling as well. So when you think about it, aging infrastructure, social issues, demographic shift, what else is there to do? People now prefer just to go outside of the UK for their holidays. You go to Thailand, you go to Vietnam. It's cheaper, the food is better, the weather is better, your money goes a long way. What else do you want people to do? And people have said that in some cases, the situation in Blackpool is so depressing that people are depressed, and it has reduced the life expectancy by about 5 years compared to the UK average. So the same problem with places like Clacton, Minehead, Skegness, they're all facing the same thing. People say, but there are jobs. But then these are seasonal jobs. After the season is over, what do? And they're always minimum, low-paying jobs. So it's just not a great place. And then you can't even decide, why not turn it into, all those homes, just build a sort of a retirement resort in Blackpool, and then it just becomes a playground for retired people to go and, do whatever they need to do. It's not going to work, because you have Spain and south of France already taking care of that. The food is better, the weather is better. You can walk around all year round, 20-25 degrees. You don't get this harsh winter. So you can't compete. Even the village in the US, Florida, there's a reason why a lot of Americans from the north go south to the village. It's a massive sprawl of retirees moving there, for the simple reason that they said the weather is good, the food is better. So what else do you expect? Blackpool doesn't have that. You can't basically. Sometimes you just have to let things be. If it needs to die, you just need to let it die, because no matter how much investment you try to put in a place, if if the weather isn't there and the location is not great, no matter how much money you pump into it, it's just going to artificially keep the process going for a while, until it's just like a car that wouldn't start. You keep pushing it, it would keep moving, and then once you stop pushing, it just stops. So I think the situation, I don't think they have any possible solution at the moment. The only thing I could see the government doing is if you put some sort of government administrative or sort of military thing there, where you know it's going to get financed by the government, and those type of things then would create jobs, because then it means people have work to do. And but if you don't do that and you're just trying to prop up the rides, it's going to just be a waste of money. It would eventually fail, because the competition is much better at providing what Blackpool is trying to provide. Those days are over. They need to do something else. But at the moment, it's a depressing sight.